Thank you for listening in. My name is Marin Sakri. I run demand generation for Evolv Technologies. As a brand evangelist and advocate for highly personalized and superior digital customer experiences, this theme is top of mind, and I'm sure resonates with all of you as well. There's no shortage of buzzwords out there when it comes to experience optimization. It's clearly priority number one for enterprise marketers. The Walker Group says by the end of this year, customer experience will overtake price and product as the key brand differentiator. We've heard from a lot of Fortune 500 companies and digital leaders about how the world of experience optimization is changing rapidly. After all, customer expectations have changed quickly, and technology too has advanced way beyond simple A/B testing. Many of you may have projects, teams, or task force in place to focus on this priority. To walk us through the 5 main trends that will shape digital experience optimization in the years ahead, we have with us Michael Scharff. He currently serves as the CEO of Evolv Technologies. Michael is a retail industry veteran who's worked at several major companies throughout his career. He served as a VP and director in numerous departments at Best Buy, a senior VP at Toys R Us, chief digital officer at Sears Canada, and much more. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Thanks, Marin, and welcome everybody. We're really excited to see such a great turnout for today's webinar. I look forward to sharing some thoughts with you on the state of customer experience and hearing your questions later on.
And certainly if you do have questions, please type those in the chat throughout and we'll answer those at the end of the call. Let's jump in. According to Gartner, a survey by marketers, in the last decade, we saw a rise from 36% to 81% of companies that are now competing on the basis of customer experience. Companies that aren't heavily investing in improving the customer experience on a continual basis will go the way of the dinosaur. Michael, does this surprise you how quickly companies have recognized the importance of customer experience beyond things like price and product in shaping how brands are perceived?
There's certainly a bigger focus on customer experience today, but from my perspective, many companies still aren't adopting the culture, systems, and tools necessary to really move the needle on CX. What does this mean from our perspective to be a customer-centric company? It means creating relevance, enabling personalization, understanding your customer's intent. The report states that 81% of brands say they prioritize it, but there's still a long way to go to get really good at it. Another way to think about this is how few companies seem to have made this a major focus of their entire organization. There's still a long way to go for traditional players and multi-channel retailers to either catch up or build the capabilities they need to in this space. Great companies have always focused on the customer. Since the 60s or so, when the idea of customer experience first became a serious business strategy, not to say that there weren't people doing it before then, but it really became kind of a practice area in the 60s and 70s. But it's important to remember that as a retailer, there are really 5 dynamics that you can manage to attract and retain loyal shoppers: convenience, assortment, price, experience, and service. Most retailers traditionally focus on 1 or 2 of these to drive their unique customer value proposition. A few, such as Amazon, can manage to excel at many of these at the same time. These companies have found a way to really change the game and up customer expectations across the board.
For larger organizations, merging the intellect across those siloed functional areas is a massive challenge and undertaking. I've started to see that shift in some of the larger organizations with the creation of digital transformation teams, et cetera. But there certainly needs to be strong advocates across the entire organization that share that same desire in creating an ecosystem which lends itself to collaboration. So I think that's one of probably the bigger challenges companies are going to face over the next few years. Throughout our discussion, we'll have a few polling questions for the group. Our first question, which you should start to see on your device: what are your major focus areas in 2020 to improve the customer experience? And the options are personalization, optimizing for mobile, creating greater omni-channel experiences, better organizing customer data, testing and experimentation. As we start to see those results trickle in, many of you have checked every box. I'm seeing a big marker for personalization and creating greater omni-channel experiences. But across the board, testing and experimentation is popping up here. Across the board, though, it looks like everyone has checked every single box. So, I mean, I don't think there's any argument here that all these areas directly impact the customer experience. Let's talk about that first focus area, personalization and relevance. According to Salesforce 5th Annual State of Marketing Report, 62% of customers expect companies to anticipate their needs, which brings me to forecast number 1. Customers will increasingly expect more relevant and personalized experiences in 2020. Michael, what strategies can legacy companies use to personalize the customer experience as fast as their digitally native competitors? For example, brick and mortar retailer versus an Amazon, or legacy financial firms versus robo-advisors.
Yeah, personalization is a concept that's been around since the early ages of digital commerce. And the story goes something like this. The retailer knows me intimately. They know my behavior, my past purchases, my family makeup, etc. And they only present things to me that are relevant. But no one actually does this today, not even Amazon. What tends to be missing here, even for the most sophisticated firms, is context and real-time relevancy. Am I shopping for myself, for work, for a friend, for a child, for a gift? Is it an urgent purchase or a luxury purchase? All of these components make personalization really challenging and need us to look for new ways to engage customers and understand their intent. Another big challenge to PII personalization is that the massive amounts of data are hard to put together in a useful way. Some companies have dozens of databases. There's no good system for on-the-fly personalization using this data in a way that isn't invasive and intrusive. The Evolv approach is not focused so much around individual PII data, but rather micro-segmentation based upon real-time behaviors. We like to think about micro-segmentation according to the customer behavior and trends in the marketplace as we're seeing them in real time. What do we understand around your behavior and how to make your experience contextually relevant in a way that is beyond personalization as we know it today? Within our own business, try to think about creating experiences in ways other than just personalization to ensure greater relevancy and contextual understanding. How can you be more sensitive to customers and trends in real time? What other data sources might be useful to help you with this? Things like weather data, local events, natural disasters. All of these things can add up to tools that will help you find ways to make the experience extremely relevant to the customer in real time, which is really the objective we're looking for.
Microsegmentation is an incredibly powerful tool and is challenging given all those individual sources of data. People now carry around their entire digital lives on their phones, and our ability to actually tap into the nuances of their digital preferences and then tailor the customer experience, I think will ultimately define a brand's success. So this brings us to our second polling question. And you'll see that pop up on the screen. How would you rank your company's ability to create relevant and personalized experiences? Poor, mediocre, okay, good, or excellent? I'll wait for those to come in a little bit. I'm seeing a range of mediocre, okay, a handful of goods. For the most part, though, 60% have said mediocre. And, you know, I think that this is definitely a pain point for many organizations. To your point, Michael, it's how do you push the envelope on that personalization? No excellence in the group. So definitely everyone's kind of weighing in between that mediocre and okay group. Moving on to our next slide. On 2019 Black Friday, 40% of all online sales took place on mobile. This is a 24% year-over-year increase from 2018. Not surprising to any of us. For forecast number 2, mobile above all else. Customers will interact and transact with companies through mobile devices. This year, I personally experienced a natural migration towards mobile, especially during the holiday season. Credit cards are saved on my phone. I can do price comparisons. Purchasing things like air travel has even become way easier with the simple UX design of applications, and integration in between things like adding to my wallet or adding to my calendar. These experiences have informed my personal brand and app usage. So throwing that back over to you, Michael, how do you think companies can make a mobile experience more relevant for consumers, better than that of a website?
There are a number of great and innovative examples of how brands are using mobile today to enhance the customer experience, both online and in store. Mobile devices should be not only a driver of direct commerce, but a new way to engage customers frequently and really enhance their physical shopping experiences. Some examples I really like are Walmart's great in-store checkout experience with their mobile app. It's actually faster than any other mobile payment platform I've seen so far. Walmart and Home Depot also do a great job with in-store modes that automatically recognize when you're in the store, and they make navigating the store much easier and faster by providing routing and aisle information for products you're searching for. Apple and now Amazon have introduced self-checkout, streamlining the shopping process to a near magical degree, which drives great customer satisfaction. And Starbucks normalized mobile payments years before anyone else in America and really led the way for the trends we're seeing now in mobile checkout. Think about how to optimize for the environment that the customer is in. Are they in your store? Are they at home? Are they on the go? Even think about aisle level engagement. How can you do things in the store at a specific aisle? Killer CX experiences are the key to great omnichannel initiatives. Also, remember, mobile is more than just apps. Most customers don't download or use retail apps throughout the year, except for places they go very frequently. Or they might download them just for seasonal specific purposes like the holidays. Think about mobile websites and hybrid apps as well. Different platforms provide different abilities. Apps certainly are great because of the location and other data they provide, but you can't force customers to download your apps. You need to use the tools that they're engaged with on a regular basis.
I've used the Walmart aisle feature and it's pretty cool. I just being able to in store have a list, know what I'm going for, but then just use their app to tell you which aisle to go to. And it makes that experience much easier. And to your point, I download apps during the holidays, especially when I'm gift buying, and then I offload those apps at the other time, but I still tend to engage with those brands via social media and other areas as well. So it's not just about the app. So that brings us to our next stat. Here are a few stats on Target. So last year, they experienced 50% growth in order pickup initiatives, 100% growth in sales volume through Shift, and 500% growth in drive-up service. Forecast number 3, customers will expect more holistic experiences from beginning to end, regardless of where, when, and how they choose to shop. Omnichannel. This has been a big trend recently, and probably not just recently, but I hear it much more with companies like Best Buy and Target trying to compete with Amazon by leveraging their network of stores for things like curbside delivery. How can companies inside and outside the retail space better unite their online and offline customer experiences?
This is a great topic and something I've been passionate about since first joining BestBuy.com in the late 90s, and actually before the term omnichannel even existed. In fact, just as a side note, I actually don't like the term omnichannel or multi-channel. I prefer to think about it as shopping. And in the early days of digital commerce, many people thought about that all commerce was going to move online and we were going to see the death of retail stores. Nothing could be further from the truth. While we've certainly seen a massive change in the makeup of the retail environment, and many long-established brands have disappeared, according to NRF in 2018, the US ended with 3,100 more retail outlets than it started the year. There are over 300,000 retail outlets in the US today. And of the stores that closed over the last year, 16 retailers accounted for over 2/3 of the store closings. There's still a tremendous amount of growth in store bases, and we're seeing digitally native brands also start to move into physical retail to take advantage of the experiences that can be created. The key to success in physical retail is to constantly be innovating, testing, and learning what your customers need and how you can create and leverage your strengths. It's critical to create seamless experiences through branding, product assortment, pricing, customer service. Digital is not a separate channel, but part and parcel of your brand. Customers have never differentiated the channels, even though retailers did for a long time, and some still do. We did this through separate business teams, different budgets, disconnected policies. None of this makes sense to customers. Operations need to catch up to the customer expectations. Systems, data, and processes all need to be organized around the customer, not around our view of channels. Omnichannel, multi-channel shopping, whatever you call it, is about more than just in-store pickup and ship from store. It's about how to engage customers, how information flows from device to the store, when and where customers can access the products and services they're looking for. It's critical to find ways to keep your customers seamlessly engaged with your brand, no matter how many touch points they want to engage with on the path to a purchase.
Omnichannel, AKA shopping. I think that that's a blog article coming soon. That's great. Yeah, I noticed this holiday season, Nordstrom Rack, for example, they created a drop-off in-store. So if you ordered anything from Nordstrom or Nordstrom Rack, you could simply take all of those items in-store, and they created a little pop-up return area, which was great. You mentioned that in order to create great shopping experiences, companies need to integrate their operations. A large part of that is compiling the disparate data around the customer experience and putting that customer at the center of the data. This dovetails nicely into our next stat, which of course is about data. A 2018 Forbes marketing report stated that 62% of the organizations are not fully leveraging their first-party data. Given my role is deeply rooted in demand gen, I can certainly understand and empathize with this stat. But what do you think why do you think organizations are failing to fully take advantage of the data they own?
To start with, we have some really big inherent problems with legacy retailers that newer companies or digital native brands don't really face. Complexity is one of them. Disparate data systems, multiple disconnected databases oriented around functional needs rather than customer needs, lead to a huge amount of data that can't be easily stitched together. Corporate ownership is also a big challenge. Who owns the data and what are they motivated to do with it? Not all departments in a company think about the customer from a customer-centric standpoint. They think about their operational metrics and what they're held accountable to. It can be hard to bring teams together and find ways to focus on adding value with the customer at the center of that experience. Beyond some of these legacy issues, one issue all retailers face today is privacy. There's a really big focus on privacy these days, and customers are becoming more aware of this topic. Many Americans have proven happy to provide data for free, but it's incumbent upon us not to abuse their trust. Only collect data we need and work really hard to use it in a way that is value added for the customer. Betraying your customer trust is a surefire way to create a terrible customer experience, but using data to create rich experiences for them will engender ongoing brand loyalty.
As an organization, obviously we know you'll be collecting a lot of data, but how do you build an architecture and focus on what matters? Where do you start? Have you seen any technology providers that make that easier?
There are a number of companies that are focused on this problem and a lot more that are developing solutions we'll see in the future. The good news about big problems like this is it attracts a lot of talent to try to solve them. Some good examples of companies I've seen that you can work with today are Covio. They help companies tailor customer experiences by using AI to stitch together content and data. Telium, which helps enterprises bring data from different sources together and make the data available across different teams. And Persado, who uses AI to break down marketing creative and run experiments on thousands of potential messaging combinations to generate the best performing content.
Easier said than done, of course, but companies do need to get ahead of their data and make it a priority. It's a massive undertaking, but those brands that are able to harness their data and apply it to their businesses in a meaningful way will be the leaders of tomorrow. Our last forecast of today, stat 87.5% of A/B tests fail due to statistical insignificance. Forecast number 5, most companies will struggle to keep up with the pace of innovation required to meet new customer demands. With A/B and multivariate testing remaining the standard testing model, are companies doing enough to meaningfully improve the customer experience, or are they frittering away precious time in many unfailed tests?
To improve the customer experience, we need to be improving our customer journeys all the time. Simple A/B or basic multivariate tests are not enough. We need to find ways to scale and test thousands of ideas all the time. We also need to think about testing differently. It's not something you do occasionally or something you stop and start or something that can be done one element at a time. Building great customer experiences is a constantly changing challenge. It requires continuous testing and optimization, leveraging the power of data and automation, using the best available creative design and customer insights, and putting it all together to create a customer experience platform that is constantly evolving to meet the needs of your customers.
And I'm going to plug another couple buzzwords here. So when it comes to improving the customer experience, when should companies rely on artificial intelligence and machine learning, and where should they lean on people?
People continue to drive the creative process, define brand identities and standards, and build those emotional levers that really drive customer engagement. They will continue to refine these experiences based on user inputs and brand objectives. Machine learning can help inform the creative process. By using advanced systems, we can enhance the creative knowledge with huge amounts of quantifiable data based on how customers respond to your creative ideas and how those ideas affect each other in combination. Machine learning can be also be used to automate and dramatically speed up the process of testing new ideas. For one example, one of our clients in Europe is Landau Green Parks, one of the world's largest holiday vacation firms. According to Mark Tizen, the key product owner for optimization, quote, "With Evolv, we got meaningful insights and results in just 2 months for what would have taken us 9 years using traditional A/B testing solutions," end quote. This ability to free up business people and creative teams to think more about what can be tested while letting the system automate and speed up the process creates great opportunities. You can be more creative, less risk averse, more agile, open experimentation to more people in your organization, and get results in real time while continuing to learn about the customer's experiences.
Thanks, Michael. And with that, I am going to share the last poll for the day. How satisfied are you with the speed and agility of A/B testing? Very satisfied, dissatisfied, neutral, satisfied, very satisfied. Right now, I am starting to see live about 50% in the dissatisfied, 17, 20% very dissatisfied, a couple satisfied, but definitely the biggest portion of the group checked dissatisfied. So again, I think that there's definitely area for improvement, and companies need to focus their efforts on how to experiment more. And I'm going to, let me end the poll there and move on to our last slide, which is a summary of our forecast. So I'm going to go through these quickly and then we'll turn it into a Q&A. Number 1, customers will expect more relevant and personalized experiences. 2, customers will use mobile above all else. 3, customers will expect holistic experiences from beginning to end. 4, companies will need better ways to organize and effectively use customer data. 5, the pace of innovation to meet these demands will only increase. And actually, one more slide before we get to Q&A. Top 3 things an organization can do right now. All this is great, but Michael, where do you start? Can you expand on these?
Sure. So first off is putting together an experimentation roadmap for 2020. That should include the following. What are your lowest hanging fruit ideas when it comes to experimentation? What can you test first? Work internally with your teams to figure out where your biggest customer and company pain points are and prioritize your experiments accordingly. Second, the number of experiments you plan to run this year. How big are they going to be? What's the expected volume? The data sources you're going to use to inform those experiments and to understand your results. The percentage of revenue gains for fiscal year 2020 that you expect to come from your experimentation and optimization practice, so you know what kind of numbers to aim for in terms of conversion goals. This isn't something we do for fun. It's about improving customer experiences to drive tangible business results. Second, assess the capabilities of your team and build or start the process of building the right team and the structure around experimentation. Identify where great ideas live in your company and invite others to help in shaping your testing plan. And finally, explore the right tools and technologies that will get you the revenue gains you seek. What investments in MarTech platforms do you need to make to up your game and really drive significant business results this year?
Thanks, Michael, for that summary and next steps. For those of you that registered for the webinar, we will be sending out a blog post that will recap all of this, as well as a link to the presentation. With that, I'm going to take the last 5 minutes and would like to open it up to the audience for questions. We had a few come in earlier, and feel free to type those in the chat now, and if we've got time, we'll cover more. The first question: does an automated optimization technology compete with or complement A/B testing?
It's definitely a complement. There are definitely times when we need answers to very specific questions in our businesses. For these purposes, A/B testing is a great tried and true technology that has been used for many years. And in fact, our platform uses testing too, although we run hundreds or thousands of tests concurrently. The difference is that optimization is goal-oriented. We're looking to drive outcomes now, not just learn something about an idea we have.
And I've got one more question here. How would you advise organizations to prioritize digital transformation for a large company? Would you fix the back end and start with the data and infrastructure, or just jump in and start with customer experience and front end?
This is a really big question, and actually something we could probably spend a year talking about. And there's no single answer to this one. Every company is different culturally, technically, from a leadership perspective, from a competitive perspective. Every company serving customers today must be digitally oriented and digitally savvy to a degree. This takes leadership and investment. You can certainly start at the top and drive a culture, or you can build pockets from the ground up. Both can work over time. Regarding systems, you really have to approach this concurrently. You can't wait for the perfect systems and data to start improving your customer experiences. This needs to happen immediately, and it needs to happen all the time, while in the background you make the investments in the systems and processes to help enable better tools over time.
Michael, thanks so much for your time today. A link and again a blog post recap will be sent out post event.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time today.